Well, good evening everybody and welcome to this council meeting of the 18th of February 2025, which is being held in person in the council chamber at Civic Centre, 25 Ferris Boulevard, South Morang. The meeting is also being live streamed, so welcome to those people who are watching this live, and thank you for those people who have taken their time to be present here tonight. I am Mayor Councillor McClendon, and I would like to introduce our councillors in attendance. Tonight we have Deputy Mayor Councillor Danielle Azzini, Councillor Christine Stowe, Councillor David Lenberg, Councillor Deb Gunn, Councillor Blair Colwell, Councillor Stephen Kosmeski, Councillor Nick Brooks, Councillor Laurie Cox, Councillor Jared Lappin, and Councillor Martin Taylor. I'd also like to introduce our Chief Executive Officer, Craig Lloyd, and ask that Craig introduce members of the Executive Leadership Team.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to introduce our Director of Planning and Development, Emma Appleton, our Director of Community Wellbeing, Agata Himalevsky, our Director of Corporate and Customer Services, Sarah Renner, our Director of Infrastructure and Environment, Debbie Wood, the Executive Manager of Public Affairs, Janine Morgan, and at the table here, Executive Manager, Office of Council and CEO, Jacinta Stevens. Thank you.
Thank you, CEO. The acknowledgement of traditional owners statement. On behalf of Council, I recognise the rich Aboriginal heritage of this country and acknowledge the Wurundjeri, Willam Clan and the Toongaroongam people as the traditional owners of lands within the City of Whittlesea. I'd also like to personally acknowledge elders past, present and emerging. I'll now read our diversity and good governance statement. At the City of Whittlesea, we are proud of our diversity and the many cultures, faiths and beliefs that make up our community. We strive to be an inclusive, welcoming city that fosters active participation, well-being and connection to each other and this land. We commit as a council to making informed decisions to benefit the people of the City of Whittlesea now and into the future, to support our community's vision of a place for all. In the apology, I note that there are no apologies this evening. And we move to acknowledgements now. I'll begin with the Housing Project Fund. We are pleased to have received $7.1 million in funding from the federal government to build the infrastructure which will support the delivery of residential development on Johnson's Road in Mernda. This important development will deliver 35 homes, of which 3 will be affordable housing, providing much needed homes close to schools, services and public transport. I'd like to move to Councillor Cox for the second acknowledgement.
Thank you, Chair. Under Australia Day honours, I'd like to extend my congratulations to the family of the late Mary Therese Simpson of Mernda, who was posthumously awarded the Medal of Order of Australia recently in the Australia Day honours list for her services to the community. Mrs Simpson was an active member and a volunteer of many clubs and associations and organisations, including tennis, Probus, church athletics and community health, and was also a life governor at the Royal Women's Hospital. She was married to Val, who was a former councillor at the Diamond Valley Council. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Cox. And we'll move to the Annual Art Exhibition Awards. To the Deputy Mayor, please.
So the Annual Art Exhibition winners. Congratulations to the winners and all the entrants in the City of Whittlesea's recent Annual Art Exhibition. The popular exhibition featured 160 stunning works from 140 local artists, centred around the theme, Hope, a Spectrum of Possibility. Idiko Kormanios' piece, titled Contemplation, took out the top award, with Award of Excellence also presented to Lucy Cleary and Anna Vidalis, the Youth Award to Naries, and the People's Choice Award to Cindy Broker. Also, I'd like to acknowledge the Community Awards. Just a reminder that our Community Awards are now open for nominations. I would encourage people to think about those in the community who are going above and beyond and nominate them. Nominations close the 5th of March, so there's plenty of time. You can find all the details on Council's website. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. And the final acknowledgement, please, Councillor Cox.
Thank you, Chair. I would also like to pass on my condolences to the family and friends of Sophia Mastoris, OAM, who had recently passed away. Sophia was an active member of the local community and the wife of a former councillor, Con Mastoris, who was also a former Shire President. She was also the founding member and long-serving President of the Atlantic Women's Federation of Victoria, and we would like to acknowledge her leadership and dedication to the community, in particular to the local Greek Australia community, and our thoughts are with our family and friends. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cox. The declarations of conflicts of interest. Councillors and officers, if you have a conflict of interest in any item on the agenda, you may verbally disclose the type and nature of the interest now, but you must also make a declaration immediately before consideration of the matter in question. Councillors, are there any items for which you have a conflict of interest to declare? Do any officers present this evening have any conflicts of interest in any items in tonight's agenda to declare?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you, councillors. Councillors, CEO, I will, in relation to 4.2.1, which I understand the Deputy Mayor will be potentially deferring later on, I will declare a conflict of interest in terms of ensuring that those members of the community and councillors here are able to, without fear or favour, voice their passions or concerns or otherwise. And I think it would be remiss of me to stay in the room so that they can deal with those matters and deliberate amongst themselves freely. I'll always protect the freedom of speech, and I think it would be very wise of me to declare a conflict of interest, given that 4.2.1 pertains to myself, and rather than be present, I think it would serve its better purpose if I were to vacate the chair at the time when that is deliberated. Confirmation of the minutes. I seek a motion to confirm the minutes of the following meetings. That council meeting held on the 17th of December 2024 and the unscheduled council meeting held on the 4th of February 2025. Can I have a mover?
Moved.
Councillor Cox, so moved. A seconder? Councillor Gunn, seconded. I'll now put the matter to a vote. All those in favour of confirming the minutes? I abstained on the unscheduled. Okay. Abstain, sorry. Councillor Colwell, Councillor Gunn, Councillor Lenberg, Councillor Stowe, Councillor Zini, Councillor Taylor, Councillor Jared Lappin, Councillor Cox, Councillor Brooks and Councillor Kosmewski. All those against? Against? No? Yes? Yep. No against? Okay. All those abstaining? I'll abstain on the second part of the unscheduled council meeting on 4th of February. If that could be noted, please. Councillor Zini? And
Yep, I'd like to move a procedural motion that the order of business be altered so that the item 4.2.1 on the agenda is considered immediately after the item as 9.2. Do it. Yep.
thank you, Deputy Mayor. Do I have a seconder?
Second.
Councillor Cox. All those in favour? Councillor Colwell, Councillor Gunn, Councillor Lenberg, Councillor Stowe, Deputy Mayor Councillor Zini, Councillor Taylor, Councillor Lappin, Councillor Cox, Councillor Brooks, Councillor Kosmewski and myself as Mayor. It's carried unanimously. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Now, item 4.1. We now move to public question time, and Council allows up to 30 minutes for public questions, petitions or joint letters from our community. Public questions will be read out by the CEO's delegate and responded to by the CEO. Any questions submitted that are not in accordance with the governance rules are either declined or held over to the next scheduled council meeting. All questions and responses will be included in the minutes of the council meeting, and I note that we have received 9 public questions, of which, in accordance with the governance rules, no introductory or background statements in relation to the questions will be read out. I'll now hand over to Jacinta Stevens, as the Executive Manager, Office of Council, to read the question, and for Craig Lord, the CEO, to provide the response. Thanks, Jacinta.
Thank you, Chair. Our first question is from Nick Rain. Can Council please confirm if it will consider investing in the proposed $1 billion family Las Vegas theme park concept voted by the Mayor during the council elections with its upcoming 2025-26 budget, or will it not do so, and that which happens in Vegas will stay in Vegas?
Thank you, Nick, for the question. While ideas such as a theme park were raised during the election period, no formal plans or proposals regarding this project have been presented to Council for consideration. Any decision to invest in a significant project would require a thorough assessment, including community consultation, feasibility studies and alignment with Council's long-term vision, financial plan and strategic objectives. Council is currently seeking feedback and holding focus groups to understand community priorities as part of setting the draft 2025-26 budget. The draft budget will be presented to the community for feedback in the coming months. Thank you.
Our next question is from Cheryl O'Connor. In relation to the E6 freeway, will any houses in Monterey Court that sit behind the vacant land be up for acquisition in the next 1 to 5 years?
Again, thank you for your question. The E6 freeway is a state government project, not a council project, but we can confirm there is no proposal for any property in Monterey Court Mill Park to be acquired by the state government for this project. In 2010, Vic Roads applied for a public acquisition overlay to nearby vacant land to enable the state government to compulsorily acquire land for the road in the future. However, the homes in Monterey Court are not affected by the public acquisition overlay. Council continues to seek clarity from the Victorian Government on the timing for the E6 corridor project, noting its importance to the transport network in our growing municipality. Thank you.
Our next question is from Jamie Nikolovsky. Does Council find it appropriate that individuals within the Council leadership team to nominate themselves in an election in a separate jurisdiction and not enter a leave of absence for the campaign despite just being elected 2 to 3 months ago to their position?
Again, thank you for the question. Like all Victorians, councillors have the democratic right to stand for election in other levels of government. Councillor McClendon took personal leave from 12 p.m. on the 23rd of January to 11:59 p.m. on the 8th of February to stand as a candidate in the Werribee by-election. Deputy Mayor, Councillor Zini, assumed the mayoral responsibilities during this time.
Our next question is from Peter. Inquiry is regarding the gutters and parking bays in Wedge Street near High Street. Is it on the agenda to install these?
Again, thank you for the question. Wedge Street near High Street in Epping is primarily a residential area with no high demand parking activities nearby. Currently, the council does not have plans to formalise car parking bays or change the curb and channel or gutters at this location. However, as we continue upgrading High Street, council will continue conversations with key stakeholders to address parking requirements in the area. Thank you.
Our next question is from Philip De Lima. What is happening with the rubbish dumping situation in the area as it's turning the suburb into a ghetto? Is there going to be more enforcement penalties?
Yeah, thank you for your question. Council understands that there are significant community concerns around the level of dumped rubbish in some areas of the municipality. We've set up a waste task force and are taking a multifaceted approach to addressing this issue, including enforcement action against those who are caught illegally dumping, as well as increased surveillance and waste collection in illegal dumping hotspots. A detailed report on illegal dumping is scheduled to come to the March Council meeting.
Our next question is from Mike Moore. With COVID cases and bad outcomes increasing over the Christmas period, what is the Council doing for residents to help them get the safe and effective vaccines and get across to other resources like masks and tests?
Thank you again. Public health response to diseases like COVID is the remit of the Victorian Department of Health. The department has been providing information via its channels with tips on staying well, and you'll be able to find out more information on the Better Health channel on their website about managing COVID.
The next question is from Henry Osdasha. Why can't we change the mayor? His focus is not this council, so why do we continue with him?
Thank you again. The election and removal of the mayor is governed by specific requirements of the Local Government Act. Under the Local Government Act 2020, a mayor is elected for either a 1-year or 2-year term. In November 2024, the council elected the current mayor for a 1-year term. This means the position will become vacant when the next mayor is elected, which is scheduled for November this year. However, if the mayor resigns or becomes ineligible to hold office, an election for a new mayor would take place at that time.
Our next question is from Catherine Burke. This question relates to the Mayor running in a completely unrelated election. How exactly does this benefit the City of Whittlesea, and how can the Mayor do this without considering resignation now?
Again, thank you for your question. Like all Victorians, the Mayor is entitled to stand for election at other levels of government. Councillor McClendon took personal leave from 12 p.m. on the 23rd of January to 11:59 p.m. on the 8th of February to stand as a candidate in the Werribee by-election. Deputy Mayor Councillor Zenni assumed the mayoral responsibilities during this time.
Our last question is from Ross Lee. I refer to the unscheduled council meeting on Tuesday the 4th of February 2025. Why was this information published and the passing of the recommendation by 10 councillors listed also? Please confirm whether this conforms to the Local Government Act.
And again, thank you for your question. At the unscheduled council meeting held on the 4th of February 2025, Council resolved at point 7 of the resolution to make the resolution of Council public upon formal lodgement of the application for internal arbitration. It is a requirement of Council's governance rules for the minutes of every Council meeting to identify the way in which a councillor voted on individual agenda items. This practice conforms with the Local Government Act. Thank you.
Thank you, CEO. Given 4.2.1 has been deferred to the end of the agenda, we now move to joint letters, item 4.3. 4.3.1, the joint letter for public toilets and parks and improved public transport in Epping and Wollert. A joint letter has been received from members of the Epping Wollert Nepalese community and signed by 113 residents requesting council address the need for public toilets in parks and improved public transport in Epping and Wollert. The recommendation which is before us, I don't have to read that, do I? The recommendation before us, councillors, do I have a mover for the recommendation for item 4.3.1?
Mayor,
Councillor Cox.
I have a resolution to replace the recommendation.
Sorry, Councillor Cox, can you just elaborate? You want to amend it? Or foreshadow a replacement?
I'm moving a replacement,
okay.
which has been provided, and I'd ask to go on the screen.
That's been circulated, yeah.
And that is the proposed resolution that I move.
Just see if he's got a second. Yep. Just giving councillors a moment to digest the changes. Councillor Cox, are you happy that that reflects the intent of your foreshadowed amendment?
Yes.
Thank you, Councillor Cox. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Lappin. All those in favour? Oh, sorry. Yeah. Sorry, you can speak to that, Councillor Cox, the mover. Would you like to speak to Councillor Cox?
Thank you, Chair. Recently, I had the fortune to attend a function in the Lindarum North Park with the Epping Wollert Nepalese community, at which this petition was being passed around and signed, and I brought it back and lodged it. This petition deals with two issues that are of importance to the Nepalese community, namely that the use of the park is very popular. There was on the day some 200 to 300 people present in the park, and it has occasions to be regularly used like that, and there is no toilet facility. And again, it's subject to a discussion on amenities. I appreciate that, which is why I have included that in point 6 for a future discussion, but particularly because the park and the size of the crowd that were present on the day, that we do incorporate an investigation and the cost of that toilet amenity at that park, because it is used not just by the Nepalese community but by others as well. The second point was the access to the Wollert area in terms of bus services, predominantly north of Craigieburn Road, which is not our responsibility, it is a state responsibility. It is a topic that has been raised with state members on a number of occasions, part of the priorities in the advocacy process. And again, I just emphasise that for the purposes of the actions taken by the community and their interest in making sure that this topic is followed through. So for the residents of the Arrowmont, Rathdown estate areas, they see that as important as well. So from that point of view, I'd like to see the resolution carried. Thank you.
Thank you for your contribution. Councillor Cox, the seconder, would you like to speak to the motion? Other councillors like to speak to the motion? I'd just like to say a few words in relation to it. Thank you, Councillor Cox, for raising this. The existing infrastructure for our public transport is clearly struggling. I thank you to bring this to the attention, and thank you for your follow-up to advocate to the state members for Thomastown and Mill Park. And I do believe that these are some very serious issues in terms of the unprecedented growth, not only to maintain our existing services to keep up with the demand, but what going forward. So we need to be ahead of the 8 ball. So I hope that we can continue to flag these existing problems, but more importantly as well, look at the 10 and 15 and 20-year plan ahead. Thank you, Councillor and Councillors. I will now move, are there any councillors who would like to speak? No? I'll now put the motion to a vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. Councillor Colwell, Councillor Gunn, Councillor Lenberg, Councillor Stowe, Councillor Zini, myself as Mayor, Councillor Taylor, Councillor Lappin, Councillor Cox, Councillor Nick Brooks and Councillor Kosmevsky. That is carried unanimously. Thank you, councillors. We now move to the consideration of reports. Item 5.1, the Rainbow Advisory Committee, terms of reference. And I would like to introduce the officer in relation to this item, our Director of Community Wellbeing, Agata Chmielewski.
For your consideration the establishment of a City of Whittlesea Rainbow Advisory Committee with the purpose of providing advice and recommendations to Council in relation to the LGBTQIA+ community. The establishment of a Rainbow Advisory Committee was initiated by a community petition received by Council in May of 2024, and it is also in the action plan of Council's endorsed Connected Community Strategy. It is proposed that the Rainbow Advisory Committee is comprised of up to 9 voting members, including individuals, organisations and interest groups representing the LGBTQIA+ community, as well as 1 councillor. If endorsed, an expression of interest process will seek committee members for the first 2-year term of the committee. Calls for nominations will be advertised broadly to ensure the diversity of the LGBTQIA+ community in the City of Whittlesea is thoroughly represented. This report recommends the establishment of the Rainbow Advisory Committee and associated terms of reference and seeks a councillor representative and proxy for the committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Councillors, do you have any questions relating to this item? Sorry, councillors, do you have any questions relating to this item? No, councillors. I'll just have one question to the Director. How many signatories were on the petition, Director?
12 residents signed the petition.
Was that 12, did you say?
12.
12 residents for the petition to instigate, just to clarify. Thank you. Any further questions? Is there any budgetary expenses, tangible, indirect or direct related to it that we've done costings on?
The councillor support will be provided within existing resources to facilitate and do the secretariat for the committee as we do with other advisory committees.
So there'll be unassociated costs involved?
No.
Okay. And sorry, from the department, from your community wellbeing department, in terms of advocation for the LGBTQ+ community, etc., do you see that there's a need to further formalise a committee in this sphere, even though it is a state and federal government issue?
We have a number of advisory committees with different minority groups and different vulnerable groups, and making sure that we're getting full representation from all of our different segments of the community. So this is going to be an advisory group just like those. We as a council in our integrated planning framework strategies as I said, it's an action in the Connected Community strategy that we support the LGBTQIA+ community, and this is a way to formalise our engagement processes with them and make sure that we're listening to hearing their lived experience and their needs for services, programs and general support from council and other stakeholders, including state and federal government.
Sure, I think it's an honourable thing to support everybody. So I'm certainly, the sentiments I can see from your department is very passionate about, but I'll let any other councillors, do you have questions relating to this item?
Has the motion actually been made?
It's just on the agenda, it's just for questions at the moment, so any further questions? Yep. No further questions. Do I have a motion for item 5.1? So mover. Councillor Cox?
I'll move the motion, and in point 3 I would insert Councillor Lenberg as the delegate and Councillor Cole as the proxy.
So Councillors Lenberg and Councillor Cole, do you accept the amendment to the motion, Councillors Lenberg and Councillor Cole?
Yes, I do.
Yes, I do. Do I have a seconder? Motion, Councillor Kosmewski. Okay, to the mover, do you wish to speak to the motion?
Yes, briefly, Chair. This issue has been around for quite some period of time, and the movement in general across all municipalities has been to provide for advisory committees and experience across a number of topics, and Whittlesea has not proceeded to this stage at this point in time. It was discussed, as I understand, by the administrators in the previous structure and deferred to the new council, but on the basis that the report has been received, the interest is there, and certainly in support of the LGBTQ, I can't remember the full acronym, apologies, but the fact is that it is a strong community within our community and within our staff, and I would support the appointment of the committee and the acting of the committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cox. The seconder of the motion, which Councillor Kosmewski, would you like to speak to the motion?
Nothing further to add.
Councillors, anybody else want to speak to the motion? Councillor Cole.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I speak in support of the officer's recommendation for the Rainbow Advisory Committee as an important step in recognising and celebrating the diversity in the City of Whittlesea. Adopting and endorsing the terms of reference, establishing the advisory group is a key step in Whittlesea's Connected Community Strategy Action Plan and promoting a community of equity and inclusion. We have a responsibility to ensure that the business of council is responsive to the different perspectives and lived experiences of our community, including the LGBTIQ+ community. I know that many local governments across the sector have adopted similar advisory groups, and I commend the council for this initiative and proudly support it. Thank you.
Thanks, you, Councillor Cole. Any other councillors want to speak to the motion? Councillors, I would like to make a brief contribution in relation to item 5.1. And let me say this very clearly from the outset, that I love everybody equally before anybody tries to distort or take out of context what I'm about to say. I don't believe that this is a local government issue. I do have a double Masters in Student Wellbeing Leadership Management, and I have dealt many, many years dealing with students with gender dysphoria, with children struggling with their sexuality. I do understand that is a very acute problem for some people in the community. However, regardless of this issue or any issue, as soon as we start overlapping with state and federal government issues, when we're living in a cost of living crisis, I do believe there's a disproportionate and disparity.
That's irrelevant.
That's extra. Thank you, Councillor Lappin, for your input, but it's very relevant to the motion. So with 12 signatures, for the 12 signatures in front of council for this to instigate advisory committee, I firmly believe that our focus needs to be roads, rates and rubbish and doing the basics brilliantly. That's what we were elected to do. This was the platform that I ran on with 55% of the vote. I need to say, yes, I love everybody equally. Do not distort my words ever. I help these children, I help these families. We are overlapping on state and federal government issues, and I do believe firmly that services and provisions are in place for those people to the point where it is becoming disproportionate in the public arena. And I certainly think, particularly our childcare centres and our kindergartens and our primary schools, we need to let the kids be kids and let the adults be adults and let the parents be parents.
Point of order.
Councillor Cole?
Point of order goes to relevance, so speaking directly to the matter of the advisory
Chair,
committee, the kindergartens are obviously not part of that.
I think kindergartens would envelope in that advisory committee, Councillor Cole, but I can deliberate from the director in that.
With due respect, can you rule on the point of order, not provide a commentary?
Councillor Colwell, I'd have to seek further information on whether it's a valid point of order, given that it would be a holistic committee. My point is that I think we've got to get back to rose rates and rubbish. I'm sorry, but we've got to make...
Point of order.
Rule it out, Councillor Cox.
I didn't
Councillor
actually
Cox,
hear
what's your
you
point of
say-
order?
No, I didn't actually hear you rule it out.
Thank you, Councillor Colwell, for your input, but I needed to seek clarification on whether a committee takes into account children. I would think they do. So I don't see it at the point of order standing.
What
So I
I'm-
have that right as the chair.
Chair, I'm asking a question, not debating it. You are continuing to debate the issue, not ruling on a point of order that's been raised as to the relevance of the topic that you have broadened. He has asked a point of order, you have not ruled on it, and I'd ask you to rule on it, please.
Councillor Cox, I take your input. I was not debating, it was a statement, and I rule that the point of order as invalid. I rule it out. Okay, councillors, I would now like to put the motion to a vote. Can all those in favour please raise your hand?
Kane, I'm the mover of the motion. Can I get the courtesy of a reply?
Fine, Councillor Cox, I will just remind you there's a certain level of decorum that's required in the public forum, and I would ask that you can please make sure that your tone and engagement in the public chamber is considered and measured. Thank you, Councillor Cox. Your right of reply.
Thank you for the lecture.
Councillor Cox, that's a reflection on the chair. Can you please withdraw?
I'll withdraw the comment. I am simply trying to say that you have failed on the basic governance rules, and I have simply asked a question. You have taken that I've been frustrated.
Councillor Cox, can I please remind you this is the second warning? You are now making statements that intend to embarrass the councillors or the chair. Can I remind you that you are speaking on the motion as a right of reply. Can you please stick to the topic?
Thank you, Mayor. My right of reply, in terms of the way that you have, or the response that has been put forward in the debate, there is no issue being raised about the impact upon childcare, kindergartens or schools. This is an advisory committee on matters that affect the LGBTQ community within our council area, including our staff. We have a proud history of supporting our staff. We have a proud history of supporting our community. The advisory committee is dealing with issues that arise under local government. It is not an overlapping issue with the federal or state government. There are topics that the federal and state government are totally associated with, and it's not something that I suggest that local government gets involved in, and it's wrong to raise that or distract that from the debate. The point is, this issue...
Councillor Cox, this is the third time I've had to put you up for clarification. You need to speak to the motion. You've undermined the statements and the input that I have as chair. Can you please stick to the topic? And can you please clarify that kindergartens, children and childcare are not in fact part of the committee?
You can't debate it.
I know, yes.
Don't debate it.
Councillor Cox, you have the floor.
Well, I think it's... I'm responding to the issues that have been raised in the debate, and as a courtesy, I'd ask that that same respect be applied, and I think the CEO has quite rightly pulled you up in terms of the topic. So I'll leave it at that, but I say that the issue is about an advisory committee at the City of Whittlesea, and that's what it's all about. It's not the broader issue that's being tried to be dragged into the debate. I'll stop there.
Thank you, Councillor Cox. Are there any others? Oh, these closed up. So, councillors, I would like to I'll now put the motion to a vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. Councillor Colwell, Councillor Gunn, Councillor Lenberg, Councillor Zini, Councillor Taylor, Councillor Lappin, Councillor Cox, Councillor Brooks and Councillor Kosmeski. All those against? Councillor, myself as chair, and Councillor Stowe abstained, correct? And myself against us. And so the motion's carried. Thank you, councillors. We now move on to item 5.2, the Planning Scheme Amendment GC 249, Beveridge Intermodal Precinct Stage 1A in the Council's submission. And I would like to please invite the Director of Planning and Development, Emma Appleton. Thank you, Emma.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm joined here by the Unit Manager of Strategic Planning as well. So this report relates to proposed planning scheme amendment GC 249, which will facilitate Stage 1A of the Beveridge Intermodal Precinct. The Beveridge Intermodal Precinct is a proposed freight terminal and logistic hub located in the northwest corner of the municipality, adjoining Mitchell Shire Council. At completion, the precinct is projected to support up to 7,000 new jobs. Stage 1A of the project will include the rail connection onto the site and an interim terminal facility. The amendment has been requested by the National Intermodal Corporation. It is a ministerial amendment to be approved by the Minister for Planning. The proposed amendment was referred to council officers at the Department of Transport and Planning in November last year, and feedback was invited until the 23rd of December 2024. A submission to the amendment was prepared and submitted by officers in December 2024 in line with that deadline. The submission recognises the benefits of the proposal to our municipality and provides feedback in respect to specific issues including infrastructure, native vegetation, cultural heritage and hydrology. This report recommends that Council note the proposed amendment request and endorse the Council's submission for the draft amendment.
Thank you very much, Director. Councillors, do you have any questions relating to this item? Done well. Thank you, Director. Thank you. Do I have a motion for item 5.2? Councillor Brooks. Move the motion. Do I have a seconder? Sorry, just confirming the motion on the screen, the officer's recommendation. That's right. Yep. As it reads. Thank you, Councillor Brooks. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Gunn. I'll put. Would you like to speak to the motion, Councillor Brooks?
No, thanks.
Councillor Gunn, would you like to speak to the seconder? Councillors, would you like to speak to the motion? Councillor Stowe.
Given that this is quite a large development site bordering on two municipalities, and it's going to provide 7,000 jobs. So at the moment, most of our jobs are in the hubs in Cooper Street and Bundoora, but this will provide 7,000 jobs and opportunities for the wider community in the northern part of our municipality. So I support this motion and looking forward to the development taking place, so that there'll be a lot of engagement in that area of the municipality. That's a growing area across both municipalities.
Thank you, Councillor Stowe. I'd like to add to that, the decentralisation I think is critical given the growth that's going ahead. I think anybody in the community, whether you're at Westfield or Epping Plaza, sometimes it takes longer to find a car park than it does to shop. So I'm certainly looking forward to these 7,000 extra jobs, and this is the place to be. We certainly are a place for all, and certainly look forward to creating more and more opportunities in conjunction with state and federal governments. Thank you, Councillor Stowe. I'll now put the motion to a vote. All those in favour, please raise your... Councillor Cox.
Thank you. I would like to speak on the motion.
Sorry, Councillor Cox, I didn't see your hand. Go for it. You have the floor, Councillor Cox.
Thank you, Chair. The recommendation should be supported. It is a long-term advocacy program of this council in terms of the intermodal development and working with the federal government and the federal representatives of the area, developing job opportunities. As Councillor Stowe has referred, there has been two municipalities directly impacted on this, the Shire of Mitchell and ourselves, on the boundary. The one comment that I will say that we did discuss in the briefing, which is important from our residents' aspect, is that ensuring that the truck traffic does not find its way back down Mariang Road or Epping Road or Bridgend Road instead of using the freeway access points, and that is important in terms of the future planning and development, and making sure that residents are aware that this council has been actively advocating and ensuring and working with the authority to ensure that that traffic does not create an impact upon the residents of the city of Whittlesea. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cox. Any other councillors want to contribute? Okay, that being done, I'll now put the motion to a vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. Councillors Colwell, Councillor Gunn, Councillor Lenberg, Councillor Stowe, Councillor Zini, Councillor Taylor, Councillor Lappin, Councillor Cox, Councillor Brooks, Councillor Kosmewski, and myself as Mayor. Councillor McClendon. No, that is passed unanimously. The motion is carried. Item 5.3, the Planning Scheme Amendments C249, the Municipal Planning Strategy and Planning Policy Framework Update, the Exhibition Outcomes and Adoptions. Please welcome the Director of Planning and Development, Emma Appleton, to the Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. This report relates to Planning Scheme Amendment C249, which implements recommendations from the Planning Scheme reviews undertaken in 2018 and 2022. The amendment is at the final council decision as part of the Planning Scheme Amendment process. This amendment focuses on maintenance of the planning scheme rather than introducing major strategic changes to it. It will help improve the clarity and efficacy of the planning scheme, bring it in line with current best practice, and it also reflects endorsed council plans and strategies which have been done up to those reviews. The amendment will help improve the overall livability of Whittlesea through better design and development outcomes, for example through implementation of the Greening Whittlesea initiatives. The amendment will also improve the clarity of the planning scheme for both council officers and applicants to support a more streamlined planning permit process. The report in front of you discusses the outcomes of the public exhibition process undertaken between June and August last year. 3 submissions were received during the exhibition period. Council officers engaged with submitters and were able to resolve each of the submissions with no changes required to the exhibited amendment. The report recommends that Council adopt the planning scheme amendment consistent with the final planning controls contained in attachments 1 and 2 to the report and submit the amendment to the Minister for Planning for approval. I also note that the next planning scheme review is due to be completed within a year of the next council plan being adopted, and this will be an opportunity for a more substantive review of the content and performance of the scheme. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Another comprehensive report. Congratulations to you and the team. Councillors, do you have any questions in relation to this item? Okay, now do I have a motion for item 5.3? Councillor Stowe. Do I have a... yep, Councillor Stowe. I'll get a second. Yeah, I was talking in a sec. Do I have a seconder for the motion? Councillor Zini, seconded. Councillor Stowe, would you like to speak to the motion?
Just need to confirm that she's actually what's on the screen.
In reflection of what's on the screen?
Yes.
Councillor Stowe, you have the floor.
I have nothing further to add. Thank you.
Councillor Stowe, thank you. A second to Councillor Zini. Do you have any contribution to make?
No, I don't, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillors, anyone like to speak to item 5.3? Okay, thank you. I would like to now put the motion to a vote. For all those in favour, can you please raise your hand? Councillor Colwell, Councillor Gunn, Councillor Lenberg, Councillor Stowe, Councillor Zini, Councillor Taylor, Councillor Lappin, Councillor Cox, Councillor Brooks, Councillor Kosmewski, and myself, Councillor McClendon. Thank you. That is carried unanimously. Councillor Kosmewski, I'm getting your surname down pat now. Item 5.4, Planning Scheme Amendment C275, Local Planning Policies Update, the Exhibition Outcomes and Request for Appointment of Planning Panel. It's been a while, Director of Planning and Development, Emma Appleton. You get the floor, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. This report relates to Planning Scheme Amendment C275, Local Policies Update. This updates 3 local planning policies in the Whittlesea Planning Scheme as recommended by the 2018 Planning Scheme Review. The amendment is at the second council decision as part of the Planning Scheme Amendment process. Specifically, the amendment updates the display homes, material recycling centres and medical centres local policies to ensure these land uses are appropriately located and designed to best serve the local community. Although the amendment will have minimal direct impact on the community, it will help minimise potential impacts on surrounding residents from issues such as noise, dust or traffic, which may be created by these land uses. This amendment also streamlines the planning permit process by clarifying the intent and preferred outcomes sought by these 3 local policies. The report discusses the outcomes of the public exhibition process undertaken between June and August last year. 6 submissions were received during this exhibition period, one of which remains unresolved, and that is due to not being able to get in touch with that submitter, even though we tried a number of times. So therefore, this report recommends that Council requests that the Minister for Planning appoint a planning panel for Amendment C275 to review this outstanding submission. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Director. Councillors, do I have any questions relating to this item? Director, in the event that the planning panel, despite your obviously passionate advocacy, is there a plan B in terms of the potential of, if they disregard that, is there something else that we can do as a council other than advocate?
So what will happen is the planning panel, if the Minister appoint a planning panel, which I'm sure he will, the planning panel will set a date for a directions hearing and invite the submitter to the table. If the submitter doesn't come, it will just progress the Minister in the current form.
Yeah, getcha. Thank you. Thanks for clarifying that. Councillors, do I have anyone other questions relating to the item? No? Do I have a motion for item 5.5? Oh, sorry, 5.4? 5.4. Do I have a mover for 5. Councillor Taylor and Councillor Stowe, and we'll move for a seconder. Councillor Stowe. Thank you. Councillor Taylor, would you like to speak to 5.4?
Thanks, Mr Chair. I move the motion as it appears on the screen. And that one of the important aspects in relation to this motion is the fact that the contemplation of the appointment of an independent panel, planning panel for the assessment, objective assessment of these submissions, and for these reasons I support this motion.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Councillor Stowe, would you like to speak to the motion?
I also support the motion as appears on the screen. Looking at it today, going through this the submission, it's quite lengthy and quite in-depth, and there's been a lot of work put into it. So I think that it's worthy that it should go through to the Minister to set up a panel to approve it in the longer run.
Thank you, Councillor Stowe. Other councillors want to speak to the motion? I just want to thank the Director and the Director of Planning and Development and the good work that you do. This is obviously a very challenging area given the growth that's going ahead, but we're getting things right in terms of the aesthetics and making sure that we minimise the impact of future developments, including the aesthetics. So thank you for your work, and I hope who knows, the Minister may even give you another panel of extra staff because you're probably going to need them going forward. But thank you so much for your good work in relation to this motion. I'll now put the motion to a vote. Can all those in favour please raise your hand? Councillors Colwell, Councillor Gunn, Councillor Lenberg, Councillor Stowe, Councillor Zini, Councillor Taylor, Councillor Lappin, Councillor Cox, Councillor Brooks, Councillor Kosmevsky and Councillor McLean and myself. As Mayor, the motion is carried unanimously. Thank you, councillors. We now move to item 5.5, the amendment to Rural Residential Precinct 4A, and outline the development plan for council decision. Once again, we have the Director of Planning Development, Emma Appleton. Come on down. Thank you, Director.
Thank you, Mayor, and last one from me tonight. So this report relates to the proposed amendment to an approved development plan. The development plan affects 23 properties on the eastern edge of the Whittlesea Township adjacent to the forested catchment of the Yanyin Reservoir. The proposal has been put forward by the proponent and seeks to amend the development plan to allow a re-subdivision of one property at 126 Ridge Road, Whittlesea, to create a lot of approximately 4,000 square metres and to construct a dwelling on the newly created lot. Prior to making the application, the proponent for the amendment was advised consistently and in writing by council officers that the proposal did not have the planning scheme support and the amendment was lodged anyway. The planning assessment considers that the proposal does not comply with settlement and bushfire planning policy, noting the land is located in a bushfire-prone area. The proposal would allow an additional dwelling in an area of high bushfire risk. This outcome is not supported by bushfire planning policy, which directs new housing away from bushfire-prone areas and prioritises the protection of human life above all else. The proposal, in addition, is also not consistent with the existing neighbourhood character of the precinct, and as such, the report recommends the proposed amendment to the development plan be refused. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Director. Councillors, do you have any questions relating to item 5.5? No? Thanks again, Director, and to your staff. I have a motion for item 5.5. Councillors, Councillor Stowe and a seconder, Councillor Lenberg. Councillor Stowe, would you like to speak to the motion? To the motion as laid out on the screen. The motion that you are...
So speak to the motion? Just the motion?
As seen on the screen.
So I support the refusal of this motion based on the details that were provided in the report, given that it's right on the edge of a fire-prone area and Whittlesea Township can't necessarily handle more people, and particularly if there's another Black Saturday event, it was quite difficult at the time, given that it's right on the edge of the fire-prone, the forest, the bushland area, plus the drainage and the sewage and lack of amenities in that area. I totally support this. I support this proposal to refuse the motion. It's not appropriate for the area. It's not appropriate for what's currently in the township, and so I totally support the refusal.
Thank you, Councillor Stowe, for your contribution. Councillor Lenberg, as the seconder, would you like to speak to the motion? Good. Councillors, any other councillor like to speak to the motion? Councillor Taylor.
Thanks, Chair. Having reviewed, like my fellow councillors, the extensive documentation that surrounds this particular recommendation as appears on the screen, one of the major issues of concern that I had was that the proposal is in fact inconsistent with the planning policy framework for the Whittlesea planning scheme, in particular the risk behind the bushfire planning, and for that reason I endorse this motion.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. I know that's a passionate area of yours and your good volunteer work that you do. Thank you for your contribution. Councillors, any further comments? Thank you, councillors. I will now I would now like to move the motion that's set out before us on the screen, item 5.5. All those in favour? Councillor Colwell, Councillor Gunn, Councillor Lenberg, Councillor Stowe, Councillor Zini, Councillor Taylor, Councillor Lappin, Councillor Cox, Councillor Brooks, Councillor Kosmeski, and Councillor McClendon, myself. The motion is carried unanimously. Thank you, councillors. Thank you, officers. Item 5.6. The 2025 Infrastructure Grant Opportunities, and the officer introducing this item is the Director of Customer and Corporate Services, Sarah Renner. Thank you, Director.
Thank you, Chair. I would now like to introduce Amanda, our Coordinator, Capital Programming and Reporting, to take us through the report. Thank you.
Thank you. The purpose of this report is to provide an overview of the infrastructure grant opportunities that are currently available and seek endorsement to proceed with submissions for the projects listed in priority order in this report. Both the Growing Suburbs Fund and Growth Areas Infrastructure Contribution Fund close the submissions on the 28th of February and require a council resolution in support of the applications. If successful, construction must commence within 18 months of the announcement and be completed within 24 months thereafter. The projects selected for application have been chosen from our current capital works program as best meeting the grant program objectives, eligibility criteria and delivery timeframes. I propose the recommendation as outlined in the report.
Thank you so much, Officer. Councillors, do you have any questions in relation to the motion before us in item 5.6? Okay, that being, do I have a mover for the motion of item 5.6? Councillor Zini, so moved. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Gunn has seconded the motion. And the question be put that we are moving the motion as per the officer's recommendation. Councillor Zini, would you like to speak as the mover of the motion?
Yes, I would. So I support and approve the submissions of applications for the 3 projects. I think it's a fantastic thing for our council to have these particular preschool and the Boree Children's Centre redeveloped. I actually personally have worked at Debbie Meadows Preschool as a kindergarten educator, and I can see the importance of having that redevelopment put through. So that's what I'd like to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Zini. Seconder was Councillor Gunn. Would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes, thank you. I'd like to support this motion. I believe that these are 3 very great projects that are going to be a great benefit to the City of Whittlesea.
Thank you, Councillor Gunn. Any other councillors wish to contribute to item 5.6 before us? Councillor Cox.
Thank you, Chair. I just support the motion, all these projects to go forward as part of the submissions for the funding, Growing Suburbs Fund. Council has a long history again of ensuring that we have shovel-ready projects for funding, and as we go through a period of funding periods becoming available, having those projects ready to run are an important part. Each of the projects certainly have merit and strong support, and I look forward, particularly in relation to number 2, being up in my ward, and the lack of recreation facilities that we have there would be important to see the development of the Kakura Park area. So, totally support the resolution.
Thank you, Councillor Cox. Any other councillors want to make a contribution? Okay, that being, I will I'll move the motion that we adopt 5.6. So put the motion to a vote. All those in favour? Councillor Colwell, Councillor Gunn, Councillor Lenberg, Councillor Stowe, Councillor Zini, Councillor Taylor, Councillor Lappin, Councillor Cox, Councillor Brooks, Councillor Kosmevsky and Councillor McClendon. The motion is carried unanimously. Thank you, councillors. We now move to item 5.7, the contract variation 2018 to 58 Cloud Infrastructure Services, and I would like to call the Director of Customer and Corporate Services again, Sarah Renner. Thank you, Director.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to introduce Assad, our Chief Information Officer, to introduce this paper.
Thank you. Our cloud services contract with Logicalis is coming up for renewal on 28th February 2025. The original contract was signed on 17th October 2018 and was last renewed in October 2023. Logicalis is a key vendor that manages several IT services for council, including servers, infrastructure and recovery. They have become a trusted partner who have constantly delivered and performed excellently, managing our servers with best-of-breed preventative measures and leading us through rare and unforeseeable high-risk challenges, including the CrowdStrike issue that took systems globally offline last year. Logicalis allows us to secure server space located in the Victorian data centre and enables us to right-size server space depending on our needs. The contract has been through due diligence processes, including review by Council's procurement, legal and finance teams. The contract value from 2018 to 2025 was 2.8 million, and it is recommended to execute a 2-year extension and 1.08 million, taking the contract value to 3.89 million. The cost of the revised contract is included in the current operating budget, and the renewal will take the contract to 27 February 2027. The pricing of the contract is competitive in the market, and the contract has performed well during a time of escalating costs and price increases of up to 100%. Thank you, and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Officer. Councillors, are there any questions in relation to the motion before us on item 5.7? That being, thank you, Director. Thank you, Officer, for your report. Okay, do I have a mover as per the officer's recommendation in front of us? Councillor Lenberg as mover. Do I have a seconder to the motion? Councillor Lappin. Councillor Lenberg, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I work in technology, and the cost to move away from a provider to a cheaper provider just doesn't make any sense in certain circumstances. This company has served us well over the last couple of years, and although there is an increase in cost of the contract, I believe that it's in keeping with other companies that would provide this service, so I fully support the motion.
Thank you, Councillor Lenberg. Councillor Lappin, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you.
Councillors, would anyone else like to contribute or make a contribution to the motion? Okay, I'll now put the motion to a vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. Councillor Colwell, Councillor Gunn, Councillor Lenberg, Councillor Stowe, Councillor Zini, Councillor Taylor, Councillor Lappin, Councillor Cox, Councillor Brooks and Councillor Kosmewski, Councillor McClendon. That is now carried. Oh, sorry. Sorry, those against. Is it? I'm abstaining. Oh, sorry, I'm abstaining from it too. I'm going to start it again. I'm abstaining too. So let's start. Can we put the motion? All those in favour, please raise your hand. Councillor Colwell, Councillor Gunn, Councillor Lenberg, Councillor Zini, Councillor Taylor, Councillor Lappin, Councillor Cox, Councillor Brooks, Councillor Kosmewski. All those against? We've been against, and those who are abstained, Councillor Stowe and Councillor McClendon, myself. Thank you. The motion is carried. We now move to item 5.9, the quarterly corporate performance report, Q2, ended 31/12/2024. I would like to introduce the Director of Customer... hang on. Almost skipped the fees and charges. Sorry, my apologies. We're going to item 5.8, the pricing policy, fees and charges. The Director of Customer and Corporate Services. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. And I would like to introduce Aaron, our Chief Financial Officer, to introduce this paper.
Thank you and good evening, everyone. The purpose of this report is to present the new pricing policy, fees and charges, which has been developed to ensure a structured, consistent and transparent approach for setting fees and charges for services delivered by the Council. This policy has been established to provide a framework that supports responsible financial management while balancing affordability for residents with the need for financial sustainability. It responds to the rising costs of delivering essential services and acknowledges the increasing complexity of service provision due to legislative requirements and community expectations. Responsible financial management requires a clear, transparent and evidence-based approach. Council recognises the importance of ensuring that fees and charges reflect the actual cost of delivering services, while also considering the financial impact on our community. Through benchmarking across the local government sector, it has been identified that many of the City of Whittlesea's fees and charges are significantly lower than those of other councils providing similar services. The policy will assist in aligning our fees with sector norms while maintaining fairness and accessibility. The pricing policy provides a structured approach to decision-making on subsidising services that provide broad community benefit while ensuring appropriate cost recovery for services that generate significant commercial benefit. The policy's key objectives include ensuring fees and charges reflect the actual cost of providing high-quality services, establishing a balance between affordability for residents and financial sustainability, enhancing budgetary self-sufficiency and securing long-term service continuity, providing clear guidance and transparency on the rationale behind fees and charges, promoting accountability in setting fees that meet strategic objectives and address community needs, aligning council's fees and charges with sector norms. The policy is guided by principles of equity, accessibility, and social inclusion, ensuring that services and resources are distributed fairly and transparently. By adopting this policy, Council will strengthen its approach to financial sustainability, ensuring that fees and charges support high-quality service delivery while maintaining fairness for the community. I propose the recommendations as outlined in the report. Thank you.
Thank you to Chief Financial Officer Aaron. Thank you for your contribution. Councillors, do you have any questions relating to this item? I'll just have one in terms of, in terms of referring to the increased fees and charges, would you say, if you're using CPI as a reference point, obviously the supply and demand and the cost of things to deliver is increasing. Could you give an outline in terms of where CPI may be used as an indicator, broadly?
Thank you, Chair. Council will be able to see all of the fees and charges in the proposed upcoming draft budget. Yes, we do use CPI as a guideline, but predominantly this paper talks to cost recovery, and for Council to choose where appropriate, we choose to subsidise fees and charges for our residents as well. So yes, CPI would be the basis, but we need to keep in mind the cost to provide the service as well. Thank you.
Sure, and I guess my only concern is when we use sector norms, which was mentioned in there as a ballpark, then that is something that obviously we can raise. In terms of sector norms, is it possible, obviously you can take this on notice, to be able to provide that to councillors as we have our deliberations in the lead up to the budget, Director?
Yes, Chair, certainly we'll be doing that. We've got various workshops with Council with regards to the budget, and of course we'll be going out for public consultation as well.
Okay, thank you so much, Director. Do I have a mover for the motion that's put before us as the officer recommendation of 5.8? Councillors, do I have a mover? Councillor Gunn. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Glenberg. Councillor Gunn, would you like to speak to the item 5.8?
I'd just like to support the motion and say that it's been a very measured approach that's been taken.
Thank you, Councillor Gunn. Councillor Lenberg, would you like to make a contribution?
Thank you, Chair. I also support the motion. I think that a framework gives us a very clear way to be able to deal with pricing, and I support the motion.
Thank you, Councillor Lenberg. Any other councillors? Councillor Cox.
Thank you, Chair. I think it's important to support the resolution in that this is a pricing policy review. It's not actually setting the fees and charges. That's the budget process, which we are charged to deal with in the near future. The review, provides a policy direction in how we deal with our residents, how we deal with competitive pricing, and how we measure ourselves in terms of the market. So it is a fully structured review, and people need to understand it's not a case that we can pluck a figure out of the air, we can cut a rate simply because it sounds like it's a good idea at the time. This is a structured policy review, and our staff have done a very thorough job in explaining that to us at the recent briefing. So again, I will support the resolution.
Thank you, Councillor Cox. Any other councillors would like to make a contribution? Otherwise, I'd just like to echo some of the sentiments of Councillor Cox in that one, that Obviously, CPI is used as a common indicator, but also sector norms, but I do want to flag that we as a council must also think innovatively and outside the square. We don't have to also just accept sector norms. I'm sure these are discussions and deliberations that we'll have going forward, but I am acutely aware that the community is hurting, the cost of living is increasing, and of course that's why we're reviewing this, to make sure we can spend good money to save us spending bad money, but I do look forward to delivering this in the lead up to the budget. But please know to the community, a message to the community, that we will be certainly taking into consideration the impact that will have on the bottom line to our rates notice going forward. I'll now put the motion to a vote of the officer's recommendations before us in item 5.8. All those in favour? Councillor Colwell, Councillor Gunn, Councillor Lindbergh, Councillor Stowe, Councillor Zini, Councillor Taylor, Councillor Lappin, Councillor Cox, Councillor Brooks, Councillor Kosmevsky, and myself as Mayor. That is carried unanimously. Thank you, councillors. Item 5.9, the quarterly corporate performance report, Q2, ended 31 of December 2024. And I'd like to introduce the Director of Customer and Corporate Services again, to Sarah, and to our Chief Financial Officer. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. And again, I'd like to introduce Aaron, our Chief Financial Officer, who will take us through the highlights of our quarterly corporate performance report. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. The purpose of the report is to present the quarterly corporate performance report for the period ended 31 December 2024, which covers the Community Plan Action Plan, Good Governance, Capital Works Performance and Financial Performance. Starting with the Community Plan Action Plan, of the 59 key actions delivered this financial year, or to be delivered this financial year, 3 actions have been completed, 55 are on track, with 1 action off track. Further details are provided within the report. From a good governance perspective, Council implemented several key initiatives in preparation for the return of elected representatives, ensuring compliance with legislative requirements. This included election preparations, all councillors taking the oath of or affirmation of office, councillor mandatory induction training, including the Mayor and Deputy Mayor completing their mandatory training within 1 month of being appointed to those roles, Audit and Risk Committee oversight of Council's financials and risks, and improvements in transparency such as handling freedom of information requests and privacy matters. Moving to Capital Works. The year-to-date Capital Works expenditure was $53,000 behind budget, primarily as a result of delays in service authority approvals and adjustment to the timing of works in minimising disruption to local businesses. It is anticipated that at year-end, Council will finish on $108.7 million, with an estimated $10 million to be carried forward into the next financial year. On financial performance, Council's operating surplus was $4.7 million favourable to the year-to-date budget, primarily due to higher interest earnings from term deposits, which are currently yielding 5.11%. The Q2 forecast anticipates an operating surplus of $187.6 million, which is $43.2 million favourable to the adopted budget. Finally, I'd like to highlight that Council's operating surplus is an accounting result only and does not constitute excess cash available for Council to spend. It is largely made up of either non-cash items such as asset contributions from developers or cash items that are restricted by legislation and how they can be used in the future by Council. I propose the recommendations as outlined in the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Financial Officer. Councillors, do you have any questions relating to the item before us? Okay, that being, do I have a mover for item 5.9? Not a shaker, just a mover. Councillor Brooks?
Yep, I move item 5.9 as it is.
Thank you, Councillor Brooks. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Cox? All those in favour? Sorry, I've done that again. I don't know what it is. Councillor Cox, this is your opportunity to shine. Sorry, Brooks. Councillor Brooks.
No thanks, I'll hand it to Councillor Cox.
Councillor Cox.
Thanks, Chair. Look, the report is very comprehensive. I think it's important for the community to understand that we are in a sound financial position. There are still a lot of challenges ahead of us in terms of the developing community and the challenges of return of the elected council was put by the officer. I think one of the things that I would probably challenge is the cost of the election by the Victorian Electoral Commission and perhaps whether it actually was run successfully. And I think Councillor Kosmeski might have a view on that. But it is a strong financial position that we're in. We're going into the budget process, and in terms of our liabilities, we are conscious very much of the cost of living, and we are conscious about providing proper, appropriate services at affordable costs to our residents. And that has shown in the report, has been carried out over a period of time through the administration, because this is the tail end of the administration period as well. And I think it's a commendable report.
Thank you, Councillor Cox. Councillors, any other councillors want to speak to the motion before us? Thank you, councillors. I'll now put the motion to a vote. All those in favour? Councillor Colwell, Councillor Gunn, Councillor Lenberg, Councillor Stowe, Councillor Zini, Councillor Taylor, Councillor Lappin, Councillor Cox, Councillor Brooks, Councillor Kosmeski, and myself as Mayor, Councillor McClendon. That is carried unanimously. Thank you, councillors. Public flogging. 4.2.1, I shall now vacate from the chair, as indicated as a potential conflict of interest, so I shall let the people in the room deliberate on the motion. It's not a motion, it's a report before us. All good? No.
Thank you, everyone. So, point 4.2.1. Petition calling for the resignation of the Mayor. A petition has been received containing 1,153 signatures calling for the resignation of the Mayor, as the residents have lost faith in his ability to carry out the duties of Mayor. After only 9 weeks in office, he has chosen to seek election for the seat of Werribee, raising concerns about his commitment to the responsibilities and obligations that come with leading our community. The position of Mayor demands full attention, dedication and focus on the needs and well-being of the residents of Whittlesea. The current Mayor's decision to pursue another political role so soon after being elected to serve our city reflects a disregard for the trust placed in him by the residents. His actions suggest that he is more focused on advancing his personal political career rather than fulfilling the promises he made to the community. The residents of Whittlesea deserve a Mayor who prioritises their interests and dedicates the necessary time and effort to serve the city effectively. We believe the Mayor's actions have undermined public confidence and trust in his leadership. Therefore, we respectfully call for his resignation and the election of a new Mayor who is committed to serving the people of Whittlesea with integrity and dedication. The recommendation is that Council note the petition. Do I have a mover for the recommendation for item 4.2.1? Councillor Taylor. Do I have a second? Yes.
Chair, I acknowledge this petition and I move the following motion. That Council 1.
Your microphone.
So in acknowledgement of this petition, I move the following motion. That Council 1, pursuant to the provisions of the Local Government Act 2020, Victoria resolves to pass a vote of no confidence in the Mayor, Councillor Aidan McClendon, citing alleged breaches of A, the Council Model Code of Conduct, and B, public confidence in both the position of Mayor and the broader Whittlesea City Council. 2, calls for the immediate resignation of Councillor Aidan McLendon from the office of Mayor. And 3, directs that the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Daniela Zini, send a copy of this resolution to the Minister for Local Government in Victoria for the Minister's information.
Sorry, Chair, if you just give us a moment while we type that onto the screen. Okay, thank you, Justine and Ash. Yes, so Councillor Teller, do you confirm what you see on the screen is what you have read and approve of?
Yes, thank you, Chair.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Huppen. Councillor Taylor, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Councillors, I stand before you to move this motion not out of personal grievance or political manoeuvring, but out of an unwavering commitment to integrity, accountability, and the trust that the people of the City of Whittlesea have placed in us as their elected representatives. The position of Mayor is one of great privilege and great responsibility. It is not simply a title, it's a role that demands leadership, transparency, and a solid commitment to upholding the values and expectations of our community. The Mayor must be a figure of unity, not division, a beacon of trust, not controversy, and be an advocate for all councillors and residents and not a perceived source of disharmony. A Mayor must demonstrate ethical leadership and not bring disrepute to the council they lead. And when the office of Mayor is called into question, the very credibility of the council they lead is at stake. It is with deep concern that I bring forward this motion that calls for a vote of no confidence in the Mayor, Councillor Aidan McLendon, based on alleged breaches of 1, the Council Model Code of Conduct, which outlines the ethical and professional standards we are bound to uphold, and 2, public confidence, not just in the office of Mayor, but in this council as a whole. Trust is a foundation upon which good governance is built. When that trust is eroded, whether by alleged conduct unbecoming the office, disregard for due process, or decisions that fail to reflect the will of the people, it is the responsibility of councillors to act decisively. This is why we must take a united stand today. By passing this vote of no confidence, we send a clear message that the people of the City of Whittlesea deserve a Mayor that they can trust and one that has their best interests at heart. and that this council refuses to ignore alleged conduct that diminishes in any way public faith in its governance. Furthermore, I call upon Councillor McGlynn to immediately resign from the office of Mayor. If the integrity of this council is to be restored, if we are to rebuild public confidence, then the right course of action is clear and a fresh start is needed. This is not a decision I've taken lightly, but it's a necessary one that the people of the City of Whittlesea expect and deserve from their elected representatives. Today we have an opportunity to affirm that we will not stand idly by when the standards of leadership may be compromised. I urge my fellow councillors to support this motion, not for political gain, but for the good of the community we are here to serve. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor. Councillor Stowe?
I'm not sure if this is a point of order, but I wish to raise a question about the motion. If it's a point of order that should be accepted by the chair, a question about the procedure.
What was your question, Councillor Stowe? What was your question?
My question is about the motion. Point 2 calls for immediate resignation of Councillor Ada McLinden from the office of Mayor. It was my understanding that that's not within our purview, that we must provide the petition and send a letter to the Minister for Local Government and allow the Minister for Local Government to make that decision. That was my understanding.
He's the only mayor with courage, Martin, okay? Because he's standing up for Australia.
Sorry,
you're all self-interested. Better to stand alone than stand right. Okay? Run a petition on Kazbetsky, who's in VCAT. Run a petition on freezing rates, what the people really want.
The City of Whittlesea is committed to facilitating a transparent, accountable and democratic environment. In accordance with the government's rules 56.5, I cannot accept the member of the public being discourteous or disrespectful of the council and its processes of joining council discussions. Councillor Stowe, did you have someone that would like to respond to you?
Thank you, Chair. In response to Councillor Stowe's question, under the Local Government Act, the Mayor can, at his discretion, resign if he wishes to from the office of Mayor. In saying that he still remains a councillor if he does resign.
Can you ask that question again, please, Councillor Stowe?
Sorry?
If you'd like to ask that question one more time, that you have.
My question was not about the Mayor resigning on his own recognizance, but whether we can actually ask for the Mayor to resign. It was my understanding that that must be left up to the Minister, and so that point 2 should be reworded or proposed differently. That was my question. It wasn't about him resigning voluntarily.
I'm happy to take that one, Chair. Without speaking to the validity or anything to do with the motion, the wording on the second part there is council, if this was resolved on calling for the resignation, so it's calling on the Mayor to make the decision of himself. You're right, as a council you don't have the ability to direct the Mayor and you don't have the ability to direct the Minister either, but you do have the ability to call for the Mayor to make that decision himself.
Thank you, that's clarified my question.
Councillor Mann, do you have a question?
Could I make a motion to an amendment to this motion to add that we note the petition as part of this motion, please?
Is that accepted by the mover and the seconder?
You're referring to the petition as it appears before the council this evening, is that correct?
That's correct.
Yes, I have no problems with making that amendment.
Yeah, we'll just put that up on the screen.
We need to just make sure the seconder agrees with that too.
And the seconder?
I support that also.
Thank you. Okay, so we have point 4 with the petition. Councillor Komisky.
If I may add, if the mover and the seconder would like to include, like we've got the Deputy Mayor to send a copy of the resolution to the Minister of Local Government and the petition, for the petition as well, not just the resolution.
This is a farce. You're in VCAT, Ms. Besky, for very, very known branches of corruption, and you sit there. Wow.
Okay, individual warning.
Oh, it is pulled in, mate.
Could I please request that you cease interjecting and refrain from speaking? Your behaviour is disruptive and
Calling out a fact, Deputy Mayor, that councillor is in VCAT right now.
No, right, this is not your
Can we
time to
have the individual removed?
No, it's not your time to speak.
Just because you've lost your courage and your souls. Yeah, I'd rather stand alone proudly.
Bye-bye.
So Councillor Komisky, you've asked for an amendment. Can you repeat that, please?
Yes, what I was saying was to include, like you are to send a copy of the resolution to the Minister for Local Government. It's to send the petition and the copy of the resolution.
Okay, is that accepted by the mover and the seconder?
Thank you, Chair. In relation to the motion as it appears before us on the screen, I accept those amendments.
Seconder?
I accept also.
Thank you.
Just say that again.
I accept also.
Councillor Lappin, Councillor Lappin, as a seconder, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you, Chair. It's my belief that residents of the City of Whittlesea are looking to ensure that they have a council that acts in their best interests and that represents all members of our diverse community. I believe that we have that council, that in this room there is a group that will work together and take their role seriously. However, I believe that those efforts are being hindered by the alleged recent actions of the Mayor and that the reputational damage to the City of Whittlesea due to those actions has been profound. In order for this council to move forward, I believe it's essential we pursue new leadership that truly reflects our community's needs and aspirations. I will therefore be supporting this motion. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Lappin. Is there anyone else that would like to speak to the motion? Councillor Colwell.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. In speaking to this motion, I do not take any pleasure or satisfaction. It is with a deep sense of frustration and exasperation that I find myself here, particularly so early in the term of council. We have a responsibility to the community and to the collective of councillors to conduct ourselves in a professional, ethical and courteous way. It's unfortunate that we find ourselves here at this situation. I wanted to stress that this isn't a battle of ideologies or a battle of political beliefs. It is simply about drawing us a line in the sand about what is appropriate behaviour, how we conduct ourselves in this institution. So I'll leave it at that. As a collective, we are starting to say, well, this is the behaviour expectations that we have ourselves and each other. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Colwell. Is there any other councillors that would like to speak to the motion? Councillor Stowe.
I'd just like to acknowledge that while the community is unhappy with Councillor McLinden, it is his democratic right to stand in a state election, to stand in a federal election, as is anybody around the table. It's their right to stand in an election in another seat. So I just want to acknowledge that. And I feel that during the course of the election process that there were some local government breaches of conduct, and that's what's led us to this position.
Sorry, the allegations.
Allegations, sorry. There's allegations just in the way that was carried out, but it was his democratic right. And this is the process that we must go through to acknowledge what the community is bringing to us, and this is the process that we're going through. So we're listening to the community and we're doing things through the democratic process. And for me, I'd like to do things and ensure that there's due process that's carried out throughout this process. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Stowe. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak to the motion before we put it to the vote? Councillor Cox?
Thank you, Chair. Similar to Councillor Cole, it is a reluctant process that we're in. Having experienced the previous council and the behaviours that were identified, and that led to the termination of the council in 2020. I think it's very important that we learn from those mistakes. I believe that we have, and I think that it's very important to emphasise what Councillor Stowe has put. This is not a witch hunt. It's not a campaign issue about the seat of Werribee, whether Councillor McLendon stood in the seat of Werribee. This is about the Whittlesea Council. And it's the reflection upon the Whittlesea Council and the Whittlesea community. The behaviours have been identified and allegations will be tested in due course. This council is basically saying, though, the community has registered a fairly significant displeasure. That displeasure is measured by a petition, which I've never seen in local government, of it's now 1,335 people on the petition that was presented. We've had a series of public questions tonight. Reading social media is a basket case. We have issues that have been identified and behaviours that have been identified, and those matters have led to a conclusion for the mover of the motion. I take no joy out of this, and I certainly express my view that I wasn't supportive of the election of Councillor McLendon to the mayoral position, and I explained that previously to other councillors, and we went through a process. I'll cease there because I've run out of time.
Thank you, Councillor Cox. Okay, I'll now put... Anyone else? I'll now put that motion to a vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. Councillor Kaminsky, Councillor Brooks, Councillor Cox, Councillor Lappin, Councillor Taylor, Councillor Stowe, Councillor Lindbergh, Councillor Gunn, Councillor Colwell, and me, Councillor Zinni. Thank you. Carried unanimously. We will now have the Mayor come back in to continue on with the rest of the business, the urgent business, and the report of council reports. Thank you, everyone.
Feels like a wait. Notices of motion number 6. I note there are no notices of motion. And 7, urgent business. Councillors, are there any items of urgent business? No. CEO, do you have any items of urgent business?
No, thank you, Chair.
Number 8, reports of council representatives and the CEO update. This is 8.1 for council reports. At this stage, I'll call on all councillors to read out their report of activities since the last council meeting. Councillor Zeni, would you like to read out your report of activities since 17th of December last year? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I attended the opening, I'm privileged of attending the opening of the annual art exhibition that City of Whittlesea runs. The artists were fantastic, and I did mention that in our acknowledgements. I also attended the Whittlesea Country Music Festival, which was a great community event up in Whittlesea Township. Also, I attended the Whittlesea Chinese Association New Year's celebrations, where I was able to meet some of the local MPs and, connect with some community members there. I also have attended some citizenship ceremonies, which is a great way to meet our community and celebrate that. Also, another thing I did was attend the Business Advisory Committee with fellow councillors, Councillor Taylor and Councillor Lindbergh. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Councillor Zeni. Councillor Stowe.
So I attended 3 meetings in Whittlesea, the Fire Management Committee, run by local community members who are concerned about engaging the community should another Black Saturday fire break out. They've produced a report and a community report, like a handbook for how community groups should engage if there should be another fire break out. They're at a crossroads at the moment where they have the report and what they should do next. There were 3 of those meetings. I ran the coffee and chat February the 10th in Whittlesea, and that was a great event. 5 groups of people came through talking about different things. Rubbish was one of the things that was topical. That's illegal truck parking and the Historical Society. Earlier in January, I attended the Hellenic Women's Federation of Victoria, where I met Sophia Mastoras that Councillor Cox spoke about earlier. And she was gravely ill at that time, and then 2 weeks later attended her funeral. So Sophia Mastoras was a wife, the former mayor or president of the Shire here, and some of the things that she undertook. She was a local resident in Thomastown, founding of the Hellenic Women's Federation, establishing the Project May Day Festival serving as a president of the Greek Women's Community of Whittlesea, organising multicultural quilt displays, volunteering for over 10 years in aged care, receiving a VMC Victoria Multicultural Commission Award, and also being honoured with the Queen's Birthday OAM. So she was quite a remarkable lady, and attended her funeral a little bit later in January as well. So just expressing my sadness at her passing.
Thank you, Councillor Stowe. Councillor Lindbergh.
Thank you, Chair. I started out in December meeting with Monica Daninsky from the Effective Animal Advocacy Australia Group and discussed the food that we have on our table, how it's treated before it's slaughtered, and how Council can do more to support that. I've also been meeting with both sides of the political coin. I met with Bronwyn Halfpenny, Lily D'Ambrosio, Richard Welch, and the candidate for Scullin, Joel Drysdale. I attended the New Year's celebration with Baptist Temple in Mill Park, which was a really joyous event, and I attended that with some other members of Council. Numerous citizenship ceremonies. I find these moving every single time. Welcoming new Australians to our community is such a joyous event, and anyone online or in the group who would like to attend the citizenship ceremonies, they're a really great way to show your support. We attended the Regional Sports Precinct for a photo shoot for Scoop magazine, all modelled up in our green with hard hats, which was a bit difficult because we're not supermodels, as you can see by looking at us. I attended the Pride March in St Kilda, supporting an inclusive community and also supporting council staff who attended the event. The Whittlesea Multicultural Community Committee, which I attended with Councillor Brooks, really welcoming as well. We had some great food, some great conversation, and it was really a nice way to get feedback from the community. I attended the Whittlesea Business Advisory Panel and met the 15 members of that panel. They're a broad range of people from across the Whittlesea community, very focused on providing strong business and strong employment opportunities to the people of Whittlesea. I've had numerous meetings with locals within the Epping community, and I thank you all for keeping me across the issues that are important to you. Keep calling me, keep emailing me, I do respond. Numerous meetings with council staff to discuss planning matters. Planning is new to me, so...
Sorry, Councillor Andrew,
sorry.
No, don't be sorry.
I will just say thank you very much then for supporting me in my knowledge. My apologies for going over.
Don't be silly. I'd like to give you 2 minutes that I have to do for everybody. Thank you, Councillor Andrew, for all that great work. Councillor Gunn.
Thank you. So over this period of time since our last meeting, I have spoken and emailed with many of the residents in my ward. I've been very busy raising tickets in our CRM portal in relation to issues. Some of those issues have included gum trees, tree litter, park maintenance, graffiti and parking matters. I have attended a meeting at the Doreen United Soccer Club's committee meeting, and that was specifically to talk about their issue with lighting for their main ground. As with everyone else, I was at the photo shoot and at the new Sports and Aquatic Precinct, and enjoyed putting on the hard hat for the wall. I also attended the Country Music Festival, which was a lovely event, and it was a very hot day. Followed up, I think a week later, for another very hot day at Pride March, and another fantastic event that I thoroughly enjoyed being part of. I've been to a Community Awards Committee meeting, and I look very much forward to finding out what some of the submissions are coming forward when we get to look at those. This evening I was at the Cemetery Trust Committee and look forward to doing more interesting things in regard to that. I held a pop-up at Lorimer Shops, and thank you to Councillor Lappin for joining me there. And again, Councillor Lappin, myself and our state member Lauren Cathergy attended the Doreen and Mernda Nepalese Gala dinner, which was a fundraiser for their language school, and it was an absolutely awesome night. Thank you.
Fantastic. Councillor Gunn, good to see you representing your ward. Councillor Fowler.
Thank you, Chair. Since our last council meeting on the 17th of December, it's been a very busy and fruitful period. On the 19th of December, councillors participated in Governance 101 training with Tony Brunick from Hunt & Hunt Lawyers. On the 16th of January, I had the pleasure of attending the Whittlesea Annual Arts Exhibition at Pratt, celebrating the diverse artistic talents of our community. On the 21st of January, councillors recommenced our induction briefings and with a presentation from IVAC covering prevention of fraud and corruption. Briefings again on the 28th of January. I attended the Whittlesea Country Music Festival on Saturday the 1st of February, and on Sunday the 2nd of February attended Pride March in St Kilda with a contingent of Whittlesea councillors and council staff. On the 4th of February we continued with our council induction program with Safe and Inclusive Workplace. On the 6th of February, councillors participated in media training, followed by a council workshop that night. On the 11th of February, councillors participated in a briefing. On the 12th of February, I attended the Outer Metropolitan Council's Group Forum, outlining our advocacy priorities for Whittlesea and discussing similar issues with other urban fringe councils. And finally, attended a briefing on the 13th of February. I'd like to also acknowledge the sad passing of Sophie Mastoris. I had very fond memories of Sophie some 30 years ago. I haven't seen her for a long period of time, but she was a tremendously generous and gracious woman. And indeed, my brother would remember her pinching his cheeks and saying very kind and lovely things to him. I'd like to pass on my regards and well wishes to the family. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Caldwell. Councillor Kosmeski.
Thank you, Mayor. On the 19th of January, 5 councillors attended the BAPS community event, which was yourself, Councillor Limburg, Councillor Taylor, Councillor Cox and myself, and which was a great event there. My apologies. The mic. Yes, on the 19th of January we attended the BAPS annual community event there. And on the 30th of January, Councillor Stower and I attended the Yarra Regionally Library Board special meeting where the chair was elected, which was Nillumbik's turn over at Nillumbik. That was my committee's events I attended for January.
Good man. Thank you, Councillor Kosmeski. Councillor Brooks.
Thank you. Apart from all of the councillor briefings and sessions and the media training session, which was of particular challenges for those of us that don't like to speak too much, but it was very good to put yourself out of your comfort zone. So I also attended the Whittlesea Multicultural Community Council committee with Councillor Ladberg. I think this is a really good opportunity to just actually speak to the community and hear about what they're doing, what they want to do, and that's really sort of the work that I'm really looking forward to continuing on. So it was a really good example. Not that the governance training isn't wonderful, but yeah, it's actually good to actually get out and do some of that stuff. So, and some of the other ones was probably I did a couple of site visits on the back of some CRMs, a lot of transport-related parking and transport safety issues in industrial areas, particularly in Thomastown, obviously. So it was good to probably do a bit more of that, but I'm looking forward to some more community events coming forward. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Brooks. Councillor Cox.
Thanks, Chair. As other councillors have already indicated, I attended the BAPS community, the art exhibition, and the barbecue for the Nepalese Wollert community at the Lindarum North Park. I attended the Pride March, and I also stood in as representing council for the Lindarum Neighbourhood Activity Centre, sod turn with the constructor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cox. Councillor Lappin.
Thank you, Chair. So on Jan 16th, I was down at Johnson's Road in Mernda with Federal Member Rob Mitchell and Minister of Infrastructure Catherine King to announce the $7.1 million in government funding to fast-track new housing in Mernda. As Councillor Gunn said, on the 8th of February, we joined with the Doreen Mernda Nepalese community for their Gala Dinner event. It was really great to be there and to meet everyone and discuss ways that Council and the Nepalese community can collaborate and engage more in the future. Then on the 9th of February, we had a meet and greet with locals with Councillor Gunn again in Doreen. That was really great. Really great. There was lots of requests around trees. That seems to be the big thing in Doreen, so I have to make sure we're on top of that. And also this week's a bit of a foreshadow. I'm meeting with Dean Thomas from the Northern Alliance for Greenhouse Action, which is to discuss ways in which Council can be part of the solution towards a more sustainable future. So I look forward to briefing Council on those ideas at a later date.
Thank you, Councillor Lappin. Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, Chair. Since the last council meeting in December of 2024, I've had the privilege of attending and actively participating as a councillor in a range of community celebrations, events, engagements, council briefings and meetings within our city. These engagements have provided valuable opportunities to connect with residents, support local businesses and contribute to the important community discussions we have, and they total 29 in total. They consist of attending the George Road Small Business Action Group meeting, the BAPS Parbar Festival, 10 individual Whittlesea City Council briefings and training sessions, 3 Whittlesea Australian citizenship ceremonies where I was honoured to deliver the speeches to 2 of them, the Nepalese Neighbourhood Community Australia Day Festival, where I also delivered the speech on behalf of the Mayor. 3 meetings of 2 major business groups engaged with key business stakeholders within the South Barang area. Conducted a on-site visit with the Mernda Regional Sports Precinct with my fellow councillors. Attended the Whittlesea Country Festival, Music Festival, and engaged with our local community. Attended the Whittlesea Community Fire Safety and Planning meeting and participated with Councillor Stowe. Attended the Whittlesea Small Business Panel meeting at RMIT University. Attended the Whittlesea Hub meeting, Meet Your Councillor meeting, and participated in conversations and assisted Councillor Stowe. Attended the Chinese New Year celebrations and celebrated with the Chinese community, fostering cultural engagement and strengths. Attended a meeting with the executive of the South Barang Sports Precinct to discuss issues that they're having. And I also have met with a number of state and federal politicians and had constructive conversations with them in relation to issues that I see facing my ward. These events and engagements reflect my commitment to representing the community, addressing local concerns and advocating for initiatives that contribute to the wellbeing of South Barang and the City of Whittlesea. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Taylor. Now it's my update. I would like to thank all the councillors for the good work that they're doing in their respective wards. It's been a challenging time, obviously, being in administration, to getting to know each other and our different personalities, and there's still a long way to go. But I am hopeful that there is opportunity for everyone going forward and that we can agree to disagree better, and as a community, as a state and nation, I think that is something we need to strive for. Small business is at the top of my agenda at the moment. I've visited over 60 small businesses in the last 8 weeks across the city, and I can tell you now they are hurting. Many of them are open for 3 or 4 days of the week just to hope that they can stay open on Friday for a profit and Saturday, and some of them working 6-7 days a week. So please, I really do want to say, support your local businesses, keep the dollars locally, and we've also got the Small Businesses Awards. The nominations are now open and they close on the 7th of March. So please, if there's somebody who's going above and beyond the call of duty in the small business sector, please nominate them and put them forward and encourage them. That'd be fantastic. As many of you have seen, the local scoop that will be coming out, that should be soon, with a fantastic resource there, and it's amazing what you can do when you work as a team. I think that'll be a good resource for all residents going forward. I also think that obviously in the downtime, in the recess between the 17th of December and now, I did make that decision to run as a candidate, which was my democratic right. There was obviously a lot of reasons for that, and the community may never understand those, but what I can say is that I needed to talk about the Local Government Act of 2020, which is extremely restrictive for councillors and mayors, and I also had to make sure that our incinerator does, in fact, get a halt on it. The multi-faith of schools, as many schools I've seen it, we need to remember that we are a faith-based community. So please do not forget the faith-based communities out there. What I do want to say is I met a fellow by the name of Pell Sidhu from Wollert. I want to congratulate him on the 1st of January. I think he's here in the public gallery. If he is, you can stand up or put your hand up. Pell actually saved somebody's life on the 1st of January. I don't need to go into details, but I pulled over the car coming back from another critical incident from a motorcycle fatality, and Pell, in fact, saved somebody's life. So I want to give him the due recognition in due course. Thank you, councillors, and we'll see you soon. Number 9, the CEO's update. I now ask the CEO to provide an update to both council and members of the public.
Thank you, Chair. We were delighted to have hundreds of people turn out for the official opening of the new skate park and urban zone at the Whittlesea Public Gardens in Layla on the 24th of January. It's been great to see people enjoying themselves on the new half-court basketball and netball courts, kickabout soccer space and climbing wall, with the new 100-metre-long street-style skate park on their skateboards, roller skates and scooters. These facilities are complemented by 2 large shelters with barbecues, seating, drinking fountains, paths, lights and landscaping. The redevelopment is set to continue with plans well advanced on upgrades to the car park, wetlands, outdoor fitness equipment, extensions of the pedestrian and cycle paths and much more. The first 2 stages of the Whittlesea Public Gardens redevelopment were supported by funding from the Victorian Government. Alexandra Avenue streetscape upgrades. Work started last month on that precinct in Thomastown to make it more inviting, safe and accessible place for traders and their customers. We're making improvements to the precinct's parking arrangements and upgrading pavements, pedestrian crossings, seating, lighting and landscaping. Businesses in the shopping precincts will be open and operating as usual through the construction works, and that project is supported by a $200,000 Living Local Suburban grant from the Victorian Government. I'm pleased to report that the second stage of the Peter Hopper Lake redevelopment commenced last month. Under the supervision of a qualified ecologist, we've begun the process of lowering the lake's water level to allow for the next phase of works. And these works include removal of the jetties and a central island, construction of a new gross pollutant trap, sediment basin, rain garden and floating nest platforms, and installation of pumps to recirculate the water. The revitalisation project is designed to break the cycle of algae blooms and return the lake to good health, allowing the community to enjoy the precinct to its full potential. And this project is jointly funded by the Australian Government's Urban Rivers and Catchments Programme and the City of Whittlesea. Construction of the Murnong Community Centre in Donnybrook is progressing well and on track to be finished later this year and opening early 2026. The steel framework is up on the Olivine Boulevard site and work is continuing on the building of the roof and the internal walls. The centre will include a 2-room kindergarten, maternal and child health services, mini branch library, community hall, kitchen and flexible space for hire. The Murnong Community Centre is supported by funding from the Victorian Government through its Building Blocks programme, Growing Suburbs Fund, Living Libraries Infrastructure Programme and the Changing Places Programme. And finally, it's with great sadness we acknowledge the passing of Rhiannon Mackenzie, a dedicated maternal child health nurse in our Children and Families Department. Rhiannon passed away on Saturday 11th of January after a courageous battle with cancer. Her compassion and commitment to the families she served will be deeply missed. Our thoughts are with her loved ones and her colleagues during this difficult time. Vale Rhiannon. Thank you.
Thank you, CEO. Number 9, we go to confidential business. I know we do not have any items of confidential business. And just before closure, I'd like to thank the directors and the officers and staff for your dedication to your various departments, and to Monitor Munro and Monitor Duncan for your unwavering support from the sidelines and sometimes the front lines. To the councillors, to the public, I missed out on what may not happen, but thank you for your attendance tonight. It's great to see democracy in action. And I now brings us to the end of the meeting, and therefore I declare the meeting formally closed at 8:02 and 8 seconds. Thank you very much.
Just wait for the stream. Just a second. We'll give you the announcements.
Mr. CEO, why are the ratepayers locked out of the gallery?